The Beatles. Funny band name, huh? 54 years after they split up in 1970, still to this day, people all over the world like the band and love their music. They even play and sing their music. I can hear it all over the place in school, coming from the practice rooms. Young kids even today like singing their songs. They hold top spots in so many different categories. They are the most selling artist ever. Their song Yesterday is the most covered song ever. They won 7 Grammys, which is not a superlative, especially now that Taylor Swift wins everything, I believe. They even won an Oscar, which I didn't know before I did some research. But these superlatives and these categories, they don't make me a fan of something. To me, it's so many other reasons, but especially a sentimental, emotional connection, because my father and my brother Matthias, they introduced me to their music when I was very young. I sang along with the lyrics, even though I barely could speak German, let alone English, so I just imitated the sound of the language, and I think maybe that helped me a little bit with the English pronunciation. I listened to their records, especially the 12 studio albums, so much that I can still, to this day, hear in my head the song that comes after the song that I'm listening to. At the end of one song, I already can tell what's the next one because I used to listen to the record so much. And we didn't, back in the day, didn't skip the tracks so much because we didn't want to get up from our seat and change the tracks on the record. So it's absolutely, that's an experience you should try. Listen to a whole album in one go. I sang and played in my dad's school choir songs by the Beatles, including with a little help from my friends. My first song on the guitar that I sang and played guitar to was Eleanor Rigby. C major, E minor, fantastic, you should try it out. There's a link here to the video that I made where Eleanor Rigby is buried in Liverpool. Fun to check out. Imagine was my first song on the piano to play along and sing when my brother introduced me to that. My 2 daughters, we've dedicated 2 songs to them from the Beatles, and I just hope that they will grow up to be big Beatles fans as well. What makes the Beatles so special, at least to me? They were pioneers in so many different areas. They pushed the envelope. They tried stuff that had never been tried before, like sound effects that nobody knew about before they had tried it out. Instrumentation. I think probably the first pop song that used a sitar is Norwegian Wood. They sang harmonies, one of the few bands that did the harmony singing, up to 4 harmonies, at least in their recorded albums. They created concept albums like Sgt. Pepper. They did a big promotional movie, A Hard Day's Night. They did one of the first ever music videos, Strawberry Fields. They were the first band to ever do an animated movie, Yellow Submarine. So you can tell it's quite a lot of things that they pushed for. They toured and gave concerts only between 1963 and 1966. The big thing that separates them from other bands, I think, is that they grew together in their time in Hamburg between 1960 and 62, where they played insane times, insane set lists, I think up to 9 hours. One night. It's insane how much they played together and got to know each other. So that created what Paul McCartney also calls that they were a good little band. Maybe not the best thing to say as a music educator, but I thought it was worth mentioning. None of the Beatles had any formal music theory training, which is maybe also part of the reason they dared to be so creative. They just didn't see any limits. But they had what some people call the 5th Beatle, George Martin, a fantastic producer who did indeed have formal music training and was kind of a genius and showed them ways to express their musical creativity. Both remaining Beatles, Paul McCartney and Ringo, are over 80 now. Almost every musician was influenced somehow, consciously or subconsciously, by the Beatles, and so many famous and popular artists name them as their idols. You can see the not complete, but quite extensive list in the description below. It's really interesting to see how the Beatles developed over time. You can see it in their look. Yesterday. But also in the designs of their album covers. All my troubles seem so far away. but especially you can hear it in their music. First, they covered quite a few rock and roll songs by American artists that they adored. Then they composed their own music in that style. And then they tried their own, they found their own style. I think pretty much their first mature, real Beatles album could be considered Rubber Soul. Fantastic, you should listen to it. They inspired me to do something creative, and we were all locked down. Remember COVID? I went outside, took their songs outside, and I created some little project that I call The Beatles in the Park. And totally worth checking out, and hopefully maybe one day some of people that watch this video create their own videos and be part of my project. I hope you enjoyed my video, and maybe you hit like, subscribe, or leave a comment, or best case scenario, you contribute a video to Beatles in the Park. Take care.